It is April 15th, and you know what that means. Your taxes are due, and if this year you're having a little trouble filling them out, we do have some help for you this morning. Phil is live over at our phone bank with some local tax experts.
You
Phil?
bet. Hey, Corinne, joining me now from the Tax Defense Network and all his folks here is Ronnie Hicks. And he's a tax lawyer here in town, ready to help you and maybe some of your friends and family if you have some tax questions this morning, since it is April 15th. Ronnie, thanks so much for joining us, too.
You're very welcome.
Now, the phones, I'm sure, will be ringing here. By the way, the phone number is 632-1200 if you have any tax questions. And before we get started here, Ronnie, tell us, because we had this economic downturn and we continue really to have it, finally getting ourselves out of it, more people having problems paying their taxes now, I would think, than, say, in prior years?
Yeah, in terms of the recession, we've got a large number of individual taxpayers modifying withholdings really just to increase that net paycheck at the end of every month.
Right.
And what that's going to turn into at the end of the year, and what I've seen at Tax Defense Network in terms of individuals doing that to kind of just make ends meet, is that they're being tax issues or taxes owed at the end of the year that are unable to be paid. Now, I don't want you to think that this is just for the individual taxpayer. We see this across the board with small business owners having to make the same decision.
Now, taxes still have to be paid today, and if not, you have a penalty. Your penalty is not as big if you pay your taxes. If you don't pay your taxes, I guess, than if you do, right? Obviously.
Right,
and if you don't pay all of it, it's not as bad as if you don't pay any of it.
Right. So there's two things you want to keep in mind when it comes to penalties on taxes. There's two major ones: failure to file and failure to pay. So if you're unable to pay your taxes, make sure you file them to avoid that penalty. And if you're unable to pay them in full, you want to make sure that you pay what you can to ultimately, reduce that penalty.
We were talking earlier, too, and we've had news stories about the IRS being kindler and gentler. If that's the case, how are they doing that if they're saying, hey, you still got to pay, right?
Well, they've been saying that for years now, and I think when it comes down to it, I think that kindler, gentler, it really comes down to them, the difference between them saying, give me the taxes you owe me, and them saying, give me the taxes you owe me, please. I think that's really the only difference. It's really, for them, it's a balancing act between image and the need for revenue. With the government, with two wars we just went through in funding, stimulus packages, the new, tax credits, and going forward now with the new health care bill, the government's in need of money more than ever.
Sure.
And the IRS is the main source of revenue for the government. So you're going to see an increase. I don't know how long that kindler gentler is going to hold up there.
Well, I know this is a busy time for you, especially throughout the day today. A lot of folks, wanting to have their questions answered. The phones are ringing right now, too, and you could call at 632-1200. To have any tax questions that you might have, the biggest thing, Ronnie, is that people have to get the forms in today and make sure to sign the forms, too, because a lot of folks just forget, don't they?
Oh, yeah, make sure you sign them. Make sure, you have a professional look at them. If you have any issues, such as a foreclosure or a short sale that you went through this year, Tax Defense Network, we've seen a huge increase in that. So if you have an issue with a 1099-C as a result of a foreclosure or a short sale in a home, make sure you get professional help to get this tax.
Okay, very good. You can talk to Ronnie and his colleagues right now. Just call 632-1200. We'll talk to Ronnie a little bit later in the show, and these folks will be here for the next hour and a half. Corinne, back to you.
All right, great. Thanks so much, Phil.